This is Spiritual Mamas Podcast. We're a couple of mamas out here just trying to raise kids, make it through a work day, and navigate mental health issues, all while going through a spiritual awakening. And we thought we'd take you with us. So grab your favorite cozy drink and let's chat.
Hello, I'm Aericka,
And I'm Kim.
and this is Spiritual Mamas Podcast. Welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
So, how are you? How was your week?
It happened.
It happened. It was a thing.
Yep, I made it through. I'm here. I was telling you before, I don't really remember much from this week, so I don't know that that's a bad thing or a good thing or whatever thing, but here we are.
It's a thing.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm discombobulated this week because I just got back from vacation in Arizona. And we also went to the Vegas, and there's two different time zones within that thing, and then came back. So I just came back on Monday, and I'm just jet lagged and confused and off my game. So it's been kind of a long week because of that. But I am proud of myself, though. While you're on vacation the whole week, 90% of the time, I did do my meditations in the morning.
Okay.
Which is awesome. I didn't do my affirmations as much because it's just kind of weird saying them out loud and my husband standing there. It's just because I am brave, I am strong. It just sounds a little weird. So I didn't do that as much, but I think it made up for it because we were in nature so much.
Okay.
I think it kind of made up for it. But
Yeah, I think that would be like a good swap. You spend a lot of time in nature, so as we know, natural vibration raiser.
Absolutely. And I just have to say that if you live in Arizona or the Southwest, I am thoroughly jealous because it's absolutely beautiful out there. And two, do you need a roommate? Because I can be your roommate. I cook-ish, I clean-ish, I'll pay some bills,
Hook me up. I'm sure that you could figure out a good plan to, trade some services, cleaning, cooking.
I think so. So,
yeah.
Hit me up if you live in the Southwest.
All right.
Well, today we're going to be talking about the Winter Solstice.
Yes, I'm super excited. So as we record this, it is the day before the Winter Solstice. But by the time this comes out, it'll be slightly after the Winter Solstice, but all still applicable. I was thinking about this, and it's really interesting because when I was young and I learned Winter Solstice, Summer Solstice, equinoxes, I would always remember oh, that's coming up or that's that day, but I never really understood what they meant other than it's the start of winter.
Right. Yeah. It's the first day of winter. Yeah.
So getting into this and doing some more research on it, it was oh, okay, this is really making sense. It all aligns really well. And I'm excited to talk about it today.
So this might be a stupid question, but so we're in North America, Northern Hemisphere. So it's winter solstice for us. Is it summer solstice?
Yeah.
In the Southern Hemisphere?
Yes, it is.
And does it coincide directly?
Yes, it does.
Interesting.
So that is one of the things that I was going to talk about. So in the Northern Hemisphere, because it's our winter, we have our winter solstice. It is the shortest day of daylight for us, which naturally means that in the Southern Hemisphere, it is the longest day of daylight. So that is their summer solstice.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So on the same day, they are also celebrating in other ways. So for people that acknowledge that, but just to break it down a little bit, the word solstice comes from Latin words sol, meaning sun, and sistere, meaning to stand still. And this refers to the angle of the sun's rays appearing as though they stand still. The days before and after, like the day or two before, the day or two after the solstice, the sun doesn't seem like it is any higher or lower at noontime.
Okay.
Which is why it looks like it's standing still.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I never noticed that before.
Yeah. I never noticed that, but...
Okay, now I feel like I need to go look at that. Although today is really crappy out.
Yeah, today's not a day for that. It's snowing / raining. I'm not really sure. Precipitating. But if you do find yourself on somewhere where, it's sunny on the solstice, you can stand outside at noontime and your shadow will not be moving from day to day. Whereas other times of the year, it moves more because of the way that we are angled. So the Earth's tilt is not as great.
That's really cool. You might get to this, but did the people back in the day, did they kind of understand why that was happening? Like, because of the tilt, or they just knew it was happening and it was a thing?
They knew it was happening. I don't know if they understood. I didn't really see anything about that, so I'm not really sure if they understood, the Earth is on a tilt. But they definitely knew it was happening. And to an extent, I mean, for so long, people told time that way, right? You can tell where the sun is in the sky and, how high it is, tells you what time of day it is or what time of year and blah, blah, blah. And so we find that in some cultures, in a lot of cultures, way back in the day, they would build structures for this specifically. So I'll talk a little bit about that. But the Alban Arthen, I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but this is one of the ways that probably one of the oldest celebrations that we could find on record for celebrating the winter solstice. So the winter solstice marks the first day of winter in the Northern Hemisphere. It's the shortest day of daylight, and it is also the time that means if today is the shortest day, it's only going to get longer from here. So we're going to have more days of sunlight. So while it is the start of winter and you get into the dead of winter, everything is gone. You also recognize that cycle is starting to turn. Things will start to come back to life. And that can be a time of renewal. It could be a time of celebration. It could be a time of reflection for a lot of people. So the Alban Arthen, which is a Welsh word for light of winter, it's thought to be one of the oldest festivals for the winter solstice. It is a Druid tradition, but it was practiced universally. So although it was started by the Druid people, people all over the world, and to this day, people all over the world still practice this tradition.
When was this? BC? Is this
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I don't have the exact date in front of me, but maybe if I click this link, it'll tell me because I saved all my links here to make it easier to put into the notes. So the belief that they had is that the old sun dies on this day and the new sun is born on the following day.
I love that.
And that new sun revives Earth's aura and gives new life to spirits and souls of the dead.
So that's beautiful. But it's kind of weird because we're just at the beginning of the end of December, which normally you're in the middle, not even the middle of winter. You've got January, which is really nasty for us, and February is really nasty for us.
Yeah.
So it's almost the opposite thinking, what you're seeing almost. I mean, yes, you're seeing that the days are getting longer, but the climate and the feel gets worse, I guess. I mean, I guess depends on whose perspective, but
right. Yeah. And it definitely depends on where you're at, because so we're in New England. We can get pretty nasty winters. Obviously the higher north you go, the worse it gets. But even if you're going down to Florida, Miami, or going into the Caribbean, and you're still above the equator in the Northern Hemisphere, you're much more mild. So you may not experience that as much. But regardless, at least here, where we experience the winter, we can see that people will do certain things in the winter to try and keep that energy going. It's like, okay, we need to prepare ourselves to get through the winter, to get to the other side. That spring is coming, but what are we going to do to get there? So one of the things that was celebrated in this tradition, this Alban Earthen, is that in Newgrange. Newgrange is a structure in Ireland, and it is, as far as what I saw and the research, one of the oldest structures. It's older than Stonehenge, older than the pyramids of Giza, and it was very important to the festival. It is almost like a temple church type thing, and the way that the structure was built, there is a window at the top, and on the winter solstice, when the sun is at that point, that midday point, it comes directly through the window and shines across the entire building. And at the end, there is a stone, and on that stone, there is a threefold spiral carved on the stone. And so the light hits that carving right as the winter solstice is at its peak. And that really just highlights how much people were understanding, like, okay, we know that this is going to happen. Let's build this structure in this way.
That sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And so it's got like you said, like kind of like a spiral at the end?
Yep. It's a threefold spiral.
Nice.
The idea that they had is that the sun god has inserted his rays of light into the womb of Mother Earth, bringing about new life in the spring.
Oh my gosh, like this is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's said it like 3 times, I know, but like it really is. Which for me, I am not a winter person. So like me, I'm loving this. Just keep going.
Okay. I don't disagree with you. I feel like I hate winter, and I'm born in the winter, and I can't stand it.
Yeah.
But I have always found excitement for the winter solstice. And like I said, when I was younger, I didn't know what it meant. I was just excited that it was like, okay, it's the start of winter, but that also means the days are going to get longer.
Yeah.
Like we're going to get more sunlight. Things are going to turn around. So that was just something instinctual. And now as I'm reading about it, I'm like, oh my God, like, yeah, this makes perfect sense.
Yeah, this is really cool. This is something to look forward to.
Yes. Yeah. So you get that excitement going. So to this day, people will still go to this structure for the winter solstice and celebrate around it, experiencing, the sun coming down, everything being lit up. And then there's other things that they do in combination with that, and I'll get into some of them. But the festival of Yule, or a feast of Yule, and Yule in itself it can be its own separate thing, but it's often connected with the winter solstice. So they would do a Yule log tradition at this time. Houses would be decorated with evergreen branches, a reminder that nature will be green again. And in some Irish traditions, the greenery decorations were a symbol of a place to rest for nature's spirits that were fleeing from the cold and darkness.
Oh,
yeah. That's, again, beautiful. It's like that recognition that this is a hard time for all, even for spirits, even for those that have passed. So allowing them space to rest. They're cold. It's dark, it's dreary. Allowing them a space to rejuvenate. The spirit of Alban Earthen is new, and it leaves the past behind, being open to what's coming ahead.
Nice.
So I thought that was really interesting. I had never understood that before.
So they put the log outside, or that it's inside?
So the Yule log tradition, the Yule log has to be something that is either gifted to you or something that is on your property already.
Okay.
You can't go out and buy it. You take this log, and it's supposed to be a pretty hardy log. And in different cultures, they may celebrate it differently, and I'll talk about a couple of them. But here, the idea was you bring this log into your hearth, you light the log, and you keep it lit for 12 days, so into the new year.
Okay.
And then what you do with that afterwards depends on your culture, depends on your traditions. So in some places, they would let that fire go out and then save the log for the following year to use, the next log they're going to bring in for the Yule log, they would use this log that's already been burned to start that fire. So it's like a connection. Other times, they burn it down completely till it's gone. And then with the ashes, they use that for fertilizer, or they use it to get back to the earth in some way. Sometimes those ashes were put underneath their beds to protect from spirits and things.
Okay.
In some places, the Feast of Yule involves lighting the fire, and that was in honor of the god Thor.
Okay.
So depending again on your culture, your traditions, your backgrounds.
It's like more the Viking, more Nordic.
Yes. And the idea of lighting this log, we've talked about the importance of like fire and how that can be cleansing and how it can be rejuvenating. So the symbol of lighting this log and keeping it lit was for heat, to represent light and the sun returning life-giving properties, and things like that. The log itself was sometimes kept for good luck. Like I said, used as kindling in the following years, burned to ash, or used in fertilizer. So this log is supposed to again, depending on the culture, not go out. You're not supposed to let it go out. You're supposed to light until either a designated time where you turn it off or it's burned to ash.
I mean, it's not a big log.
Yeah, I was
like envisioning, I'm like, I don't think my fireplace can hold something that's going to burn that long.
No. I don't know that I've ever seen fire pit. Well, but you think about like
back then, like they had much larger fire pits and or not even inside. Like it could be just outside or something. Yeah.
Yeah, they were made much, much bigger back then. I have a fireplace now, and it's a coal burning fireplace. Like I couldn't put wood in it even if I wanted to. So
yeah, we have wood, but it's not that big.
Yeah,
I have seen where people like will do like just put it on their TV or something, like have like a fake one that's like just constantly kind of going. I could see that, like putting that into something. I think that'd be cool. Who could do that?
Yeah, I think there's lots of these traditions that like they may have started out this way, but because of time and logistics and all of that, they could shift, but you're still carrying that same energy. You're still wanting that same outcome. I saw a video too, maybe it was today, of somebody like taking their Yule log. So it was a real log that they brought into their home, but for whatever reason, I don't know why they decided to do it this way, but they just drilled 12 holes into it, and so they put 12 candles.
Oh, and that's a good idea.
Idea was just to light a candle every day.
Like kind of like a menorah.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's a good idea too.
Yeah. So I mean, I think this, and I'll get to like things that you can do now to recognize or celebrate the winter solstice. But this is one of the ideas that I was taking away from all of this, is like, you do what works for you. And I know we've talked about that before. It doesn't have to look a specific type of way. So
yeah, it's like the intention.
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that I wanted to do when doing some of this research was like to look outside of what we traditionally think of as like pagan cultures, or I just wanted to see what other people were doing. And I don't know why this was interesting to me, but it was. The winter solstice is celebrated around the world. So in China, they have a tradition called, oh gosh, I'm going to mispronounce this and I apologize so much right now. Dongzi.
Okay.
That's it. Dongzhi.
Oh, yeah, I'll go with it.
So the belief is that the yang energy, which is that muscular positive energy, would grow stronger after the winter solstice. And so this was a time that the family celebrated together. These celebrations would be 15 days long. They would be referring to like the extreme of winter or winter's arrival. Your family gathers together. They would worship their ancestors. they would have a feast of foods that represent reunion and prosperity and warmth. So things like, depending on where, in the area you are, you may be having something like glutinous rice balls, you might be having porridge, you might be having dumplings, all different types of food. And I'm sure we'll get to this at some point in all of this, but, for Chinese culture, yin and yang are a symbol of harmony and balance. So the idea was that when the days are short, there is insufficient yang energy. So you have to have yang foods, which are warmer foods.
Okay.
And they were consumed to counteract the yin energy.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Other places like Afghanistan and Uzbekistan have something called Yalda. Again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Yalda. And they do this celebration during the winter solstice. The idea is of birth, rebirth, and they would do things like gathering around with loved ones, like we've talked about, eating and drinking together, having a feast. But something that I saw in their traditions that was a little bit different is that it was very intentional for them to tell stories and read poetry throughout the night, on the night of the winter solstice. So they stay up together and welcome in the new sun by doing that. And then some of the foods that they would eat would be more like watermelons, pomegranates, things that might be more red in color in order to symbolize the dawn of a new life.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like the poetry and reading.
Yes.
That sounds so nice.
Yes. I loved that idea. I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, I also think that at a time when things were so much different and less technology filled, your options might have been limited in what you could do, but doing something like that and sharing something like that could be so beautiful.
Well, it kind of reminds me, so in the Catholic Church for Christmas, the night before, Christmas Eve, they often do a midnight mass.
Yeah.
And a lot of cultures will also then stay up after midnight mass and open presents and have a big meal. Yeah. Depending on kind of what your with your ethnicity is.
Yeah.
And my dad's side used to do that. They would go to midnight mass and then stay up all night, have a big meal.
Yeah.
Open up their presents, and then the rest of the day was just kind of chilling.
Yeah.
So it kind of, that almost sounds like that.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
I've heard a lot of anecdotes or opinions that some of these Christian traditions are their own variations of winter solstice, of Yule, of pagan traditions.
Yeah, they are.
So I wouldn't doubt that there's definitely something to that. One of the other ways that I found, so we talked about Druid culture, what they've done in Ireland and China, Central Asian countries. One of the other traditions that I found was, and again, I apologize for my pronunciation, Soyal, Soyal.
Okay.
It's a happy Native American ceremony.
Okay, yeah.
That's celebrated during the winter solstice. It can last up to 16 days. It's marked by gift giving, dancing, and storytelling.
Okay.
And one of the beliefs that they held is that protective spirits would bring the sun back from its long slumber. So the idea there is, honoring those spirits that are bringing back the sun.
I just love this. I keep saying that, but I'm just kind of blown away. And I really want to do something now. I want to incorporate something.
Yeah.
Because I've never kind of really looked at winter solstice. I mean, I know it is a thing and the longer days, but never really did anything about it. And so my kids are a lot older now.
Yeah.
And my daughter is married. And his family, my son-in-law's family, has a lot of traditions. And so they spend a lot of time with his family. And, my youngest is 16. So the last couple of years, I've been kind of Christmas kind of sucks. Like we don't have any traditions. Like we don't have anything. And it's really been bumming me out. So maybe I need to start doing like a winter solstice thing and that be our tradition. Because, and the other thing too is like, for me as a kid, Christmas was very wrapped around religion. We would have several church services that we would go to, like Christmas Eve, Christmas, which were beautiful. And like, that was really kind of part of my thought process on Christmas. And again, not having that with my own kids, it kind of made it almost cheap because all we're doing is doing presents.
Yeah.
And I know the winter solstice is not Christmas, but like it's very, very close.
Yeah.
And I know that it's very much wrapped up in that. And it's like making me kind of like have a more positive spin on winter.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like this rebirth and like the spirits are bringing back the sun. And, you know, it just makes it so great.
I agree with you. I think it's something that, like, when looking at it from this perspective, it can really highlight the energy that you need to get through the winter and to also keep that perspective in mind. Like, yeah, I hate winter and winter sucks, but it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be this terrible thing that is just happening. It's something that I could actually enjoy, especially if doing something like this.
And honestly, I mean, you have to have some sort of winter, even in like the hottest climates. It's still, there is a deadening period. There is that period where things aren't as vibrant.
Yeah.
And you need that in order for kind of the cycles of nature needs to happen. Like some things need to go dormant so that they can be better when, you know, rebirthed in the spring and stuff like that. So, I mean, it is absolutely a necessary thing.
Yeah.
Because if you're vibrant all the time, it isn't, I don't think that's sustainable, even in nature.
Yeah.
You know? So,
yeah, absolutely. And I think the idea of like highlighting, and this is something that I came across too, is like something like, you know, pulling in the greens into the home, like evergreens. Evergreens don't die, quote unquote, in the winter. But even they become less active. And it's like, okay, it's a reminder of what is to come and a reminder that things will come back to life. Hello, I have a real Christmas tree. Every year I bring a tree.
Yeah. You're like, oh, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. But and this is like kind of an aside, my own personal ideas on like Christmas, not my favorite. It's just not. Winter's not my favorite. Christmas isn't my favorite. There's always a lot of stress associated with that. There's always a lot of responsibility. There's always a lot of expectation. There's always a lot of running around. I don't want any of those things.
Yeah, me neither.
If I could just enjoy time with the people that I care about, that would be so much better.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to enjoy that time without having some sort of expectation. I have a very large family. I have a lot of children, young children that I need to like get gifts for. And so to make it special for them. And I enjoy making it special for them, but it's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people feel that way. And especially over the last several years where we go from Halloween to Christmas, like there is no in between anymore.
Yeah.
Like commercially.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just ramped up that stress level for people. And it's taken away like the magic and like, yeah, for the kids, but like there's no magic for the adults, and there's no like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, if you have little kids, it's fun for them and it's fun to see them do it. But like by the time you get to Christmas, you're so tired.
Yeah.
It's just out and people get sick.
Yeah.
You know, because of it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this because I was like, if I could just have like, I would love to just have a meal that doesn't have to be anything intensive, that doesn't have to be anything that's like time consuming. But if I had a meal with like the people that I care about and just chit chat, let's hang out. Yeah. Let's play a game. You know, something like that would be amazing.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about like, what are some ways that you can take some of these ideas and traditions and bring them into 2024? So definitely decorating with nature. This is something that a lot of people do anyway. If you have plants in your house, if you have a real Christmas tree, these are things that happen anyway. But in some other ways, being very intentional about which things you're bringing in. If you're bringing in something new, like we've talked about this before, I have a lot of plants in my house, but I don't bring in new plants, during this time of year. It's, things are like not thriving right now.
Right.
But doing things like holly, pine cones, evergreens, that sort of stuff can represent the cycle of nature's return, sun, life, the cycles, all of that. I've been seeing a lot of videos of like people making garlands of dried orange or lemon.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really sure. I mean, they're pretty, but I wasn't really sure like what was the purpose of that. But I think it ties into like the return of the sun and warmth because of the color scheme of it. So also being intentional with that. What are the colors of the things that I'm bringing into the home? What are the things that I'm using that are organic, that are live? I absolutely love the idea of sharing a meal. I think that's something that maybe I would like to start.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that as well.
Yeah, I think that would be a really cool idea because it is slightly separated from Christmas. Like Christmas Eve, we run around. Christmas Day, we run around.
Right.
We're eating lots of food with lots of people, but we're not really just sitting and sharing together.
Right. And then there's the presents, and then there's, got to go to this place. I got to go to this place. Like there's exactly. You're not just like chilling with friends and family.
Right.
Most people don't.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely don't. So if I could do like, hey, Winter Solstice, which is a couple days before, and if everybody could just pause for a moment, come over, and let's just have a meal. I really want to make that a thing. I already mentioned that I don't have a fireplace that I can put like wood into, but lighting a fire, starting a fire at this time of year, I mean, today's definitely not the day to do that. It's gross outside, but...
Or even like candles, like you have specific candles that you bought specifically for that time, or if they're not bought, then they're from year to year, that sort of thing would be kind of cool. Like have like a set of cool candles.
So that was my thought. And I don't know if you've seen it before. There's that red candle over there. That was gifted to me. It is carved. There's like, it's shaped like an egg. It has carvings of flowers on it. It was gifted to me by a friend who was working with students who have different disabilities, and like the students made it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's very pretty. And I was like, that would be like the perfect thing for me to do.
It's red.
Yep.
It has egg shape, which is usually life.
Yes.
And it has got flowers on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. I was like, oh my God. So that's what I'm going to use it for.
There you go.
So yeah, finding ways to like light fires to represent all of those things would be really helpful. And so we did an exercise before we got on. And this exercise is part of like a practice of Yule and celebrating Yule. So the 12 or 13 days of Yule are from the winter solstice to the new year. And I think it makes sense for you to start to think about what are the things that I want to give birth to or have come to fruition in my life in the coming year. So we did this, and I think I'm going to do this moving forward, but taking out a piece of paper, writing down 13 goals that you have for yourself in the new year, and then separating each goal, folding them up and putting them into a jar. And then every day for those 13 days, you will pick one out. You won't look at it. You'll burn it, give it up to the universe, putting your intentions in there, of course. And then on the 13th day, which would be the first, you will have one left. That one you will open, and that is up to you to make come true for yourself that year.
I'm excited about this. This is a cool concept and thought, and it's almost, it's not scary. That's not the right word, but it's almost like, okay, what anticipatory, I guess. What's going to be left?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, which one is going to be left? And is that the universe that's going to make it that one left? Or, what? I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too. I had those same thoughts. And I was also like, as I was writing down my goals, I'm like, I want to be, realistic, but I also don't want to box myself in like I normally do. I don't want to limit myself. So I put some goals on there that were like, hey, that's a little scary. Yeah, you know what? I want to make it happen. So if I get one of those left, well, there you go. It'll be a challenge.
It will. And just the process of trying.
Yeah.
Putting it into the universe, putting your thought process into it, as we've talked before, can make a lot of things come to fruition. So
absolutely. When you start to shift your mindset into, focusing on those things and really considering like, what do I need to do? What can I do? What maybe do I need to ask for in order to make these things happen?
Yeah.
So I think that one is a good one. I'm glad that we started that.
Yeah, we'll have to report back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like we should have listeners do this and
yes,
let us know what happened.
Yeah. So, okay. So 2 notes about that real quick. The winter solstice is not always on the 21st. Sometimes it's on the 22nd, right? It depends on, the Earth's tilt and all that. It might be 12 goals that you write down. It might be 13 goals that you write down. We wrote down 13 goals and we're starting today. And today is the day before the winter solstice officially begins. But that will get us to the 1st.
Yeah. So this is going to come out after. So I guess you could still just do whatever when you listen to this.
Yes.
If you listen to it before the 1st of the year, start from there.
Yeah. I was going to say, again, with making it your own, do what feels right. If you're listening to this on the 26th, then you can just limit yourself to that many or just write down that many. Or I'm thinking if it was me and I was listening to this after and I wanted the whole thing, I'd probably still do the 13, but I'd probably burn them one every hour.
Oh, there you go.
to catch me up.
Catch you up, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
But, whatever makes sense, whatever feels right. But I think that would be a really cool thing for everybody to kind of get into. And it gets you starting to think about reflecting on where I've come from and what I've done and what I want to do. And it's a good, just all around to get into.
I'm thinking some of mine were a little bit broad. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Then maybe having to use mindfulness to figure out how to make it, work.
Yeah. I put some on mine that were broad and I put some on mine that were very specific. So I think if I end up with something that's a little bit broader, then I will have to come up with a plan. How am I going to break it down to make it more specific? But yeah. So I think this is, a lot of fun ways to celebrate, to bring in good energy, to revitalize, to reflect. We've talked in the past about journaling, and I'm sure that incorporating that specifically around the winter solstice can be helpful. Gaining insight, developing yourself, growth. What are your plans? What are you doing moving forward? What things do you want to change? And, I mentioned this idea that it's not just about, the theme is definitely about bringing in the new, but also letting go of the past. Things that don't serve you, people that don't serve you, experiences that maybe are dragging you down or that you're holding on to. If there's a way of letting those go, now's the time.
Yeah, well, because you said it was kind of a time of rebirth. So you don't want to keep carrying that into the next life, quote unquote. Kind of, time to
practice forgiveness.
Practicing forgiveness, letting go of old paradigms.
Absolutely. I think all of that can be practiced now. So bringing in what speaks to you, what you want to start now, it'd be a good time to do it.
Yeah. Very exciting. I love it. Love all of it. And it's really changed my thought process around winter, and which is good. Which is awesome.
Yes.
Another way to raise your vibration.
Yes.
And just help your overall mental health, because so many people have SAD, the seasonal affective disorder. Right? Seasonal affective disorder. because of like the poor light and it's cold and you're not as active and stuff like that. So keeping this as like a in like your thought process in your mind as a positive thing, I think could be really beneficial for people.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be something that is, that is requiring a lot of you.
Yeah, no.
So
Yep.
It makes it a little bit easier to engage with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's what I got on the winter solstice.
Beautiful. Love it. Awesome stuff. I do want to say that we have an Instagram now.
Yeah, we do.
It's at, what is it? It's at spiritual_mamas_AK
Okay.
on Instagram. And you can message with us. You can follow us. You can, give us comments, give us ideas. Let us know if you did this like winter solstice, anything for it, what your thought process on it. And you can also text us on Buzzsprout.
Yeah.
And you can follow us on Spotify, on Apple, on YouTube. You can comment on all those things. So just like, engage with us. We want to know what's going on.
Yeah, I absolutely want to hear from people. I want to know what they are doing, what they're thinking, how their own spiritual journeys are going, what works, what doesn't. Maybe some perspectives or ideas or thoughts that, we haven't yet touched on or we don't know about.
Yeah.
Here it goes.
And we're going to be doing Monday morning affirmations. So I'll be putting out some affirmations to do, just quick ones that you can do and see if it helps you.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that's good. So
follow us everywhere, leave us comments, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Happy solstice.